There are diesels out there that'll run 500,000 miles on basic maintenance. Change the oil, replace the filters, keep the coolant clean, and they just keep going. That's the promise of diesel. That's why people pay more for them, seek them out on used car lots, and argue about them like religion. But there are also diesels that were designed from the factory on an engineer's drawing board, with fundamental flaws baked so deep into their architecture that no amount of good ownership habits will save you. These engines don't fail because someone neglected them. They fail because they were built to fail. And the scariest part? The used car market is currently full of them, cleaned up, freshly detailed, with oil changes done just before listing, and a price that looks reasonable on the surface. What you're about to hear isn't drama. It isn't internet forum speculation. It's what mechanics see on the lift, week after week, on trucks and cars that looked perfectly fine when they were bought. 3 diesel engines, 3 documented, repeatable, expensive failure patterns. And if you're shopping for a used diesel right now, or if you already own one of these, you need to hear every word of this. Let's start with the one that broke an entire generation of Ford truck buyers. The Ford 6.0-liter Power Stroke. It was in every F-250 and F-350 Super Duty from 2003 through 2007. It was the replacement for the 7.3-liter, one of the most beloved diesel engines ever bolted into a pickup truck. The 7.3 was simple, direct, and nearly indestructible. The 6.0 was supposed to be better, more power, cleaner emissions, more modern technology. It was worse, in almost every way that matters for long-term ownership. The 6.0 was a joint development between Ford and International Navistar. And somewhere in that partnership, a series of engineering decisions were made on the EGR system, on the cooling architecture, on the head fasteners, on the oil injection system, that created an engine with 6 or 7 different ways to fail. All of them expensive, and most of them connected to each other in a chain reaction that mechanics came to call the domino effect. Here's how it works, and pay close attention to this, because understanding the sequence is the difference between diagnosing the real problem and spending money on parts that aren't the issue. It starts with the oil cooler. On the 6.0, the oil cooler is an internal component. It sits beneath the filter housing, inside the engine. Its job is to use engine coolant to keep oil temperature under control. The design uses a narrow passage core that, over time, accumulates deposits from the coolant. The coolant passages slowly restrict. Eventually, they clog. When that happens, oil temperature climbs. Hot oil causes the O-rings and seals in the high-pressure oil system to degrade faster. But more critically, reduced coolant flow through the oil cooler also means reduced coolant flow to the next component in the system, the EGR cooler. The 6.0 Power Stroke uses a fuel injection system unlike most diesels you've probably dealt with. It's called HEUI, Hydraulic Electronic Unit Injection. Instead of using a high-pressure fuel pump to directly pressurize fuel for injection, the 6.0 uses pressurized engine oil to mechanically actuate the injectors. The high-pressure oil pump, the HPOP, takes engine oil and pushes it to pressures between 500 and 3600 psi. That oil pressure is what physically fires each injector, forcing fuel into the combustion chamber at up to 23,000 psi. When the system works, it's actually an elegant design. When it doesn't, the symptoms are maddening. The HPOP has a strainer at its inlet that can accumulate debris. When the strainer restricts, oil pressure drops. You get hard starts, rough idle, misfires, sometimes a no-start condition. Then there's the FICM, the Fuel Injection Control Module. This is the computer that sends a 48-volt signal to each injector telling it when and how long to fire. The FICM has a well-documented weakness. The internal transformer can fail on its own, but it's especially vulnerable to voltage drops caused by a weak battery. Proper diagnosis requires checking FICM output voltage with a scan tool. It should read 48 volts plus or minus 1 volt. Below 45 volts and you have a problem. The 6.0 uses a variable geometry turbocharger, a VGT, which uses movable internal vanes to control exhaust gas flow. The problem is that these vanes accumulate carbon deposits over time and stick. Add it all up and you start to understand why the diesel community developed a term specifically for this engine: bulletproofing. Bulletproofing a 6.0 means systematically replacing every major weak point. Done correctly, a bulletproofed 6.0 is actually a solid engine. Done partially, which is exactly how most of them get sold on the used market, and the next owner pays for whatever the previous owner skipped. The complete correct bulletproof job on a 6.0 runs between $5,000 and $8,000 in parts and labor on top of the purchase price of the truck. That math changes the equation significantly. The 6.4-liter Power Stroke was in Ford Super Duty trucks from 2008 through 2010. 3 model years. That's it. When Ford ended the partnership with International Navistar and developed the 6.7-liter entirely in-house, it was the clearest signal possible that they considered the 6.4 a chapter they wanted to close permanently. On paper, the 6.4 was impressive. Twin sequential turbos, common rail injection up to 26,000 psi, 350 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque from the factory. It was fast, it was strong, and it had the kind of pull numbers that made truck buyers excited. The problem wasn't the power. The problem was everything surrounding the power. Let's start with the emissions equipment, because that's where most of the 6.4's serious issues originate. Where the 6.0 had one EGR cooler, which was already enough to cause a cascade failure, the 6.4 has 2. Dual EGR coolers, meaning 2 components that can clog, 2 that can crack, 2 that can introduce exhaust gases into the coolant system. But the EGR coolers, as expensive as they are to address, aren't even the most insidious problem on the 6.4. That distinction belongs to the DPF system and what it does to the engine's oil. The 6.4 uses a diesel particulate filter to capture soot from the exhaust. Periodically, the engine goes through what's called an active regeneration cycle. It injects extra fuel late in the exhaust stroke to raise exhaust temperatures high enough to burn off accumulated soot. When fuel is injected during the exhaust stroke, some of it doesn't make it out of the cylinder cleanly. It washes down the cylinder walls, strips the thin oil film protecting the bore, and drains into the crankcase. Every regeneration cycle introduces raw diesel fuel into the engine oil. The oil doesn't get burned off. It stays there, mixing with the engine oil, reducing its viscosity, weakening its ability to maintain the hydrodynamic film that protects bearings, camshafts, and the valve train. This is why the diesel community says the 6.4 makes oil, because it literally does. Owners who do their own oil changes have pulled the drain plug expecting 15 quarts and drained 20, 22, even 24 quarts of contaminated fluid. The extra volume was diesel, pure diesel, sitting in the crankcase, being pumped through every bearing surface. The mechanical consequences of running diluted oil are not subtle. Bearings wear faster because the oil film can't support the load. Rocker arms and lifters show accelerated wear. This damage accumulates invisibly. Just progressive, silent wear, until a bearing spins or a rocker arm collapses. The solution most experienced 6.4 owners landed on was strict oil change intervals every 5,000 miles regardless of the service monitor, and checking oil level regularly, watching for the level to rise rather than drop, which is the clearest sign that dilution is happening. If your oil level is going up, you have a 6.4 problem. Then there are the pistons. The factory pistons in the 6.4 have a weak crown design, specifically the fuel bowl area where the injector spray pattern meets the piston top. During regeneration cycles, exhaust gas temperatures can climb above 1800 degrees Fahrenheit inside the cylinder. The factory pistons aren't designed for sustained exposure to those temperatures under load. Cracks develop in the crown. They start small. They grow. When a piston crown finally lets go, and it does eventually, the debris goes everywhere. Through the ring lands, into the cylinder bore, sometimes through the block. At that point, you're not fixing a broken piston. You're rebuilding an engine. If you're buying a 6.4 used, there is no visual inspection that tells you the condition of the pistons. There's no code that fires. The only way to know is to open the engine and look, and nobody selling a truck is going to do that voluntarily. Forged aftermarket pistons address the problem properly, but that's a significant investment. And if you're wondering whether it gets better from there, just know that the radiator on almost every 2008 to 2010 Super Duty also failed. And the uppipes crack under thermal cycling. The high-pressure fuel pump has a known wiring harness chafe issue on early production trucks that can short the pump and destroy it. The 6.4 is a truck that needed a lot more development time before it left the factory. It didn't get it. If you're watching this anywhere outside of North America, the first two engines on this list might feel distant. The Ford Power Stroke trucks were primarily a North American product, but the third engine on this list is global. It's in millions of vehicles that are actively circulating on used car markets across Europe, Australia, South Africa, and beyond. And it's arguably the most dangerous of the three. Not because the failure is more expensive in absolute terms, but because it arrives without warning, destroys the engine completely, and can happen at perfectly normal highway speeds on what appeared to be a completely healthy car. The engine is the BMW N47, a 2.0-liter four-cylinder diesel that was fitted to a huge range of BMW models between 2007 and 2015. If you've ever considered a used BMW 1 Series, 3 Series, 5 Series, X1, or X3 with a diesel badge, there's a significant probability you were looking at a car with an N47 under the hood. The N47 is a capable engine in many respects. BMW earned serious recognition for it in terms of efficiency and performance. But alongside those credentials, the N47 has a design defect so well documented that it was featured on the BBC Consumer Affairs program Watchdog and generated petitions for a recall signed by thousands of owners. The defect is the timing chain, specifically its location, its design, and the catastrophic nature of its failure. On virtually every modern engine, the timing chain, or belt, is positioned at the front. It's accessible without removing the engine. On the N47, BMW positioned the timing chain at the rear of the engine, tucked against the firewall. Inaccessible without removing the engine from the vehicle entirely, or in many cases, partially dismantling the drivetrain. The chain was also designed as a non-serviceable component, meaning BMW's original position was that it should last the life of the engine and never need replacement. That position proved to be catastrophically wrong. The chain stretches. The tensioner, a spring-loaded hydraulic device that maintains chain tension, is underpowered for the job. Over time, as the chain elongates and the tensioner reaches the limits of its travel, the chain begins to have too much slack. It rattles against the guide rail on cold starts. The first and sometimes only audible warning is a metallic rattle or ticking sound during cold starts. It often lasts only a few seconds, then disappears as oil pressure builds. Many owners hear this sound and dismiss it. The problem is that the window between first audible symptom and catastrophic failure varies enormously. There is no reliable way to predict which trajectory you're on. When the chain finally breaks, and once it has stretched beyond the tensioner's range, it's a question of when, not if. The consequences are immediate and total. The N47 is an interference engine. This means the pistons and valves collide at engine speed. The documented damage includes bent valves, typically multiple per cylinder, pistons with cracked or destroyed crowns, shattered rocker arms, bent or broken camshafts, in severe cases, damage to the camshaft housing and cylinder head. This is not a repair. It is a rebuild, or an engine replacement. BMW's response to the N47 timing chain issue was slow, calculated, and insufficient. By 2013, BBC Watchdog had investigated. BMW representatives appeared on camera to state there was no manufacturing defect while owners were being quoted repair bills of $7,000 to $12,000. In 2015, BMW quietly announced a quality enhancement for engines built before March 2011. A chain replaced under the program is better than one that wasn't, but there is no dashboard indicator. You have to find the paper trail yourself. Now, this is the point in the video where the real warning arrives. A car or truck with a known expensive problem doesn't just sit on the lot with a warning sign. It gets managed. The seller changes the oil, tops up the coolant, and prices it attractively to hide the selectively incomplete information. The protection isn't distrust, it's process. Before you buy any used diesel, and especially any of these three, you do the following. You find a specialist, not a general mechanic. and you pay them to inspect the vehicle before any money changes hands. You ask for a coolant pressure test. You ask for the oil to be examined. You ask for a scan of all modules. For the BMW, you ask for timing chain documentation. For the 6.0, a list of bulletproofing components. For the 6.4, oil change records with drain intervals. That pre-purchase inspection will cost you $100 to $300. It is the single best investment in the entire transaction. Before you close this video thinking it's all a warning against buying diesel, it isn't. Diesel engines, when the right ones are chosen, are genuinely outstanding. The 7.3-liter Power Stroke that preceded the 6.0 is a truck that mechanics hold up as an example of how to build an engine that simply refuses to die. Simple hydraulic injection, robust architecture, minimal emissions equipment. Trucks with 300,000 and 400,000 miles on original engines are not unusual. The 5.9-liter Cummins that was in Dodge Ram trucks through 2007 has the same reputation. The 6.7-liter Cummins in newer Ram trucks, particularly 2013 and later, is regarded as one of the most capable and durable diesel truck engines available. The 6.7-liter Power Stroke that Ford developed entirely in-house fixed the architecture problems. Introduced in 2011 and substantially refined through 2015 and beyond, it has built a strong, long-term record. These exist. They're available on the used market. They're worth finding and buying at a fair price for a properly maintained example. But they require you to know what to avoid. The three engines covered in this video, the 6.0 Power Stroke, the 6.4 Power Stroke, and the BMW N47, share a common origin story. All three were released during periods of significant pressure from emissions regulations that forced new technology onto engine platforms. The EGR systems on both Power Strokes were new requirements at the time. The DPF Regan system on the 6.4 was cutting-edge emissions compliance technology with inadequate real-world development. The N47's timing chain was an engineering decision that traded long-term serviceability for short-term efficiency. The engineers who built these engines were not incompetent. The result, in each case, was an engine that the buying public used as a test subject, paying for the development costs that should have been absorbed before the engine ever reached a production vehicle. That cost gets passed down the ownership chain. The original owners dealt with it under warranty. The second and third owners dealt with it out of pocket. And now, in 2025 and 2026, there's a wave of these vehicles, aged into the sweet spot of affordable used diesel, being sold to people who haven't heard this story yet. You have now. If someone in your circle is shopping for a used diesel truck, send them this video before they hand over a check. That 3-minute conversation could save them $8,000 and a ruined relationship with diesel engines in general. And if you've already been through one of these engines, if you know this story personally, drop that experience in the comments. Because the single most useful thing this community can do is talk openly about what actually happens on the ground. Your comment might be the thing that saves the next person. If this video gave you something real, the like button is the easiest way to tell the algorithm that honest, detailed automotive content is worth showing. And if you're not subscribed yet, this is the kind of content you're going to find here consistently. No fluff, no filler, no sponsored opinions. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. See you there.